rages, so it's not like he's not going to be able to find the armor gain. I think the real thing isn't necessarily that the warrior is going to run out of healing. It's actually that they're going to run out of removal, weirdly enough, because this is a list that is specifically teched for Bomb Warrior, and Bomb Warrior really doesn't have many threats whatsoever. They rely almost entirely on the weapons, and so there's only one Brawl. There's no Plague of Wrath. There's no Sword and Board. I think the chance of a Demon Hunter just sticking something on the board is actually incredibly high in this matchup.
That's true. Looking at it again, it's just the one of Coerce as well.
Yeah.
So Coerce and Shield Slam will be very, very important resources that Alan will want to land on Lapidaries and Glaive Bounds almost exclusively. And the one of Brawl, or one of the two Blade Storms, has to be held for Sociologist Militia, I would have to imagine. However, it's pretty interesting that there is the Bloodsworn Mercenary in here, despite not having Rattlegore in the list. I tend to think of those two as a package deal, but still it could get some value with Kargath or even Karchit Defender.
Yeah, I think Kargath is, generally the main one that you're looking to hit to get two of those 10-10s shuffled into your deck, which can just lock out some matchups, and could be a big deal here, because that's removal and pressure and armor gain. As our players remind us, happy Hallows End, everyone. Please stop now.
I love it. Alan has met his own kind. Alan has been one of the few players in APAC who is down to emote, but Posesi seems like he is completely on the same wavelength.
Oh, I know that like Alan called us out for saying he's BMing when he's not BMing, but he is an old school BMer. Like, it goes a long way back. It runs in his blood, the BMing. Alan870806 was a BMer. 870804 was a BMer. All the way back.
Yep. All 870,000 Allens did not have a good attitude. Alright, first play onto the board for Alan. The Bulwark of Azeroth has entered the hand, but I do think that's something you want to save by the time you've gotten rid of the small threats from the Demon Hunter, and you're trying to instead force them on hero powering when they would rather go for a big Lapidary push.
Yeah, that could of course be absolutely critical in the matchup. Like you said, Lapidary plus Marrow Slicer is like 9 damage that you can just eat up, or at least force them not to develop a 5/5. The important thing is, though, that in this early game, Posesi is just forcing an answer from Alan, because in this matchup, you cannot afford to tank 6 damage every turn until like turn 6 or 7.
That's right. It's already looking like it is going to eat up a Blade Storm from Alan's hand, and it doesn't even deal with the Panthera. For Alan, it's also a big deal that he hasn't hit Anchor, which I would say is very, very important in order to make sure you have the risky skipper cycle, activate the battle rages, and pair with the armor smith.
So now comes
he also hasn't hit the weapon removal.
Exactly. This is generally the unfortunate part of the matchup for Posesi, is you don't want to play weapons until you have to. You want to develop minions. But he has hit the small percentage chance that had to happen eventually, considering how many times we've seen these anti-warrior lists, where there is no ooze, there is no sticky finger. What does he even do here?
Is it Bulwark?
That sounds like a load of bulwarks to me.
Okay, deal with the Panthera. Go for an okay battle rage. This is kind of like a cramp session. Definitely sounds more reasonable. Oh, there's a sticky finger.
Turn too late. It has to be swung on this turn. I think Posesi knows it. You're just going as aggressively for using these weapon swings as possible.
What's interesting is how he wants to spend the rest of the turn. The militia is not too big at this point, so I don't think he feels bad about giving up the fragment. It wasn't going to be militia on the next turn anyway.
Obviously, he's thinking now about thinking how does Skull factor into this on the following turn. Spectral Sight, I think, may have got him to an overdraw there if he went for it. So he's just trying to prioritize keeping the damage flowing in the meantime.
Oh, man. So are we fishing for Kobold or Rush Lackey here?
I mean, you could coerce against this, I suppose, to take 3 damage off the board. You're not happy about it at all.
There's a Rush Lackey, but if he coins it out, he gives up coin Deathwing.
Yeah, I think that's too important.
Yeah. I also think Deathwing is Alan's ticket to swinging the board and also forcing Posesi potentially to take a turn of removal instead of sending all the damage face. Currently only one fragment in the deck, so Militia is, I mean, underwhelming, but I wouldn't say unplayable this turn.
Agreed. Definitely something to consider here. The main thing he's thinking between, I think, is it the Skull plan or is it shuffle fragments into Militia plan? Because picking up the Soul Shear is not bad at all. There's actually 3 in the deck. Okay, that makes it a little bit more powerful.
That's my bad. Sorry.
No worries.
Spirit Jailer, of course, adding the other 2 into the pool now, and he is forcing Alan to have either Barrow or Brawl.
Yep, I do really like going for the Brawl here, obviously, over the Deathwing. That needs to be the threat on the board. Alan does lose the Brawl instantly. This is pretty disastrous already for Alan. Like, he has the answer, but he needs these things to start going a little bit better for him, I think.
Coin Coerce was a very, very big deal. If he had not hit that, Alan might have just been out of the game entirely. But now, it's a huge deal that Posesi is taking a rather slow turn, and if he does get development of any size, it still gets eaten up by the Deathwing. And he misses the Skull because he's running the Spectral Sights.
Yeah, exactly. 2 out of 3 chance to hit the Skull there. Or, with the... Oh no, that's a generated Consume Magic, I believe, right? Off of the Wand Maker. So, is he not running?
It was 2 and 3 because he still runs 2 Spectral Sights, so he had 1 in hand, and then... So there, at the time, 2 Skulls and 1 Spectral in the deck.
Yeah, I was just wondering if he was playing the Consume Magic as well, like Glory was. But no, he's just gone with the double Spectral Sight version. So definitely unfortunate there because he wanted to get those discounts flowing, and it means he's really got to take a bit of a dead turn now. Like, he can draw 1 card with Spectral Sight, but you really want to start dumping cards from your hand to make room for Skull.
It feels terrible. At this point, a lot of the draws off the top for Posesi are too expensive anyway to play this turn, so I don't mind going for the second slice and just hero power to make a little bit of room. Both Lapidaries and Glavebound Adepts and the other Skull are still in the deck.
Okay.
12-12?
Let's go. 8 mana 12-12, well above the stat line of what it should be. And difficult for Demon Hunter to deal with.
It's true. No Magtheridon in the list.
I mean, honestly, I'm considering going Deathwing into Archivist Elysiana. Like, I want to hit some threats if that's sticking. And that is just a 9 mana 7/7 next turn.
I want armor.
Okay.
I want to go something like Bulwark next turn. Or just steal their Marrow Slicer.
Okay, Marrow Slicer. You can then go Twin Slice up to 8. And then Soul Shear Blade Dance is 1 off? Oh, and you can't fit in all the mana as well.
Yeah. I think you might even just ignore the Deathwing this turn. I don't know. Try to hope that you can clear it the next turn with Blade Dance. Oh, but there's almost no way your weapon sticks at this point, right? Alan has had so many cards in hand. It's gonna be a small Blade Dance into a Soul Shear the next turn. Yeah, this is very smart.
Yep, I like this a lot.
Still gets to push the damage phase.
The alternative was killing it this turn with the Soul Shear and saving the Blade Dance, but I think this is far superior.
And Alan can equip the Bulwark after he swings.
Yeah, I suppose that's probably better than getting the Kargan, and you are afraid of dying.
It's just immunity for the next 4 sources of damage. So unless Posesi wants to hero power you 4 times to make sure all of his Glavebound charges are saved. And if he does that, you're almost certainly winning on board, then Alan's in a great spot, you know?
So I guess you're looking to get the Skull out of the left-hand side of your hand now rather than right, because you can start turboing out a lot of these cards, draw from Spectral Sight as well. Or just non-outcast version. Interesting.
I'm not sure what the plan is now for Posesi. I suppose the next turn he can get the Bulwark down to 1 charge. And then you have Glaive-bound healing.
You know what? I actually think this is extremely clever from Posesi. I was looking at just tempoing out the Consume Magic to get cards drawn, but there's 2 Kartut defenders in the deck. There's also a Kargath, which is very much worth considering silencing as well. This gives him the ability to push through those taunts and those armor gain effects, which I think I would have just missed in the mad rush for card draw, which the Skull does also accomplish on this turn. I like this a
Also
lot.
worth noting that Posesi has 5 fragments in the deck, so a lot of the time the Skull discount gets disrupted anyway. But the big problem right now is, having used all those Twin Slices, the Blade Dance is 1 damage short of being able to make quick work of both of these. You could Glaive-bound one of them.
You really don't want to do that if you can avoid it.
But if you send it face, it's not even dealing damage anyway, so try to get the Glaive-bound for board presence instead appears to be the line here. He can silence away the Prime if he cares at this point. Maybe you can't even live in the world where they drop Prime, right? You need to hold on to that for Kartut.
Yeah, I think the real consideration for me was whether you go Soulshare plus Blade Dance, literally just to clear that off the board on that turn.
Oh. I think the plan for Posesi is try and hit the Lapidary as soon as possible so we can get some utility out of Blade Dance.
I wonder.
Alan is super safe. Still 2 charges on the Bulwark. Is he hovering Elysiana?
Like you
Is
can
he
go
a gamer?
you can go Elysiana trade, right? And then still get the Kargath Prime in your deck.
I hate it so much.
yeah. I think you'd probably rather just have the cards in your deck here than a 7/7 on board. But he is close to killing Posesi. Like, the aggro plan does have merit at this point.
Although the mana is ever so slightly awkward here. He could just rush out the, I suppose the Skipper by that point to kill the Glaive-bound Adept.
Is that more important than getting Armor Smith down? 4 health instantly?
You don't need the health, you have Bulwark!
Oh
they
my
cannot
God.
damage you more than 2 times in 1 turn. In fact, it is going to be Goblin Face and Shield Slam. That's pretty clean as well.
Alan is literally the biggest gamer I've ever seen in my life. Like, this is what gaming looks like. This is what it's all been for all these years.
And you don't even get the lifesteal off Eldraki if it goes into a Bulwark, right? Because they don't take damage.
Does no damage, yeah.
So it's just kind of dead.
He can attack into the
Okay,
Skipper?
you can clear the last charge. Oh man, you can't. You have to like you have to attack normally and then put in Kane, but if you attack normally, you can't use the Glaives anymore. So it's like a clear the board turn instead.
Okay, so like, what if you go attack face with the hero power, then equip Eldraki, then go Blade Dance, then just go Cade?
Might probably just Shard Shatter by that point instead.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah.
Okay, and he's proccing with the Glaive-bound instead because he's used Consume Magic, and now he's concerned about having a way to get through taunts. Finally, the Bulwark has broken.
You can start actually pushing some damage to face, and because of Alan's strategy of going super aggressive here instead of playing the Armor Smith, the board has been cleared. He doesn't have lethal, and he doesn't have much way to gain a whole lot of armor on this turn either.
I'm seeing Smith Blade Storm, and then he can Shield Slam the rest of the Glaive-bound. If you really want to, you can fit in the Ooze as well.
Is that better than Barrow of Bladestorm to get something on board?
Well, the Armor Smith would stay on board, and
yes,
you get the armor. But then you're not threatening lethal the next turn. Wrench Caliber picks up Ankar as well. It's still in Alan's deck.
Okay.
But there's still 1 Skipper as well, so he can do both, right? There's enough mana.
Skipper, Armor Smith.
Skipper, Smith, like Ooze, and then Shield Slam.
That's too much mana at that point.
Oh yeah.
Okay, I'm not really
wait,
seeing how
yes.
this works out. Like,
Oh my gosh, there's no time! Alan!
attack Blade Storm? Is that where we're at?
Yeah, Smith Blade Storm. Okay, okay. It was really tough to figure out the ideal one. Okay, it's Blade Storm
I like
alone.
this. This is good. This is good.
But is he dead?
No.
Little bit off lethal?
He's alive
Tiny,
at
tiny
one.
bit off lethal?
Tiny weeny little bit, but that makes all the difference. 2 Cartuts left in the deck as well. Like,
Oh my goodness, I thought Alan was gonna go for the Armorsmith Blade Storm, but maybe he had it calculated that there was no way that Posesi could deal 10 at this point with... Wait, there is a way, if it's double Lapidary. But it's just not in hand for Posesi.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's ways, but he's playing the slightly longer term game because he wants to gain maximum armor with Skipper and Armorsmith.
It's true. And he couldn't really reliably just close out the game because there's still Eldrazi Warblades there. He couldn't like go for a 2-turn lethal setup with the Ankar.
Yeah. And now, health gained for Posesi. He's in no fear of dying. Alan down to 2, Cane in hand, so he doesn't have a lifeline with the Cartuts left in his deck. He's just going to have to go for a massive armor gain turn here.
And so, Skipper, Smith, Ooze, Shield Block, Hero Power? I guess you Shield Block first.
You have to fit in the Shield Slam in there somewhere, right?
Oh, yeah.
So you miss out the shield block because you're probably not going to die at that point because you've gained so much armor.
I wonder.
Oh, how much armor is it, really?
It's 2 plus 3, so it's 5, 7 with the hero power. So you're up to 9, you destroy the weapon.
And the 5/5, and then their max damage output is still 9.
It's still
with
9.
Lapidary Cane Hero Power.
So maybe you have to shield block instead of hero power and then shield slam. And just miss out on 1 hero power. Oh no, you're right, yeah. Going for Barov instead to clear the board.
Yeah.
That was a tough one.
Maximum armor gain.
Yeah, it means he's left with nothing in play, but he gets the board clear and maximum armor.
And he holds on to Block Slam at the very least, which deals with the last Lapidary, which is in the deck. But he still has these other small minions to account for.
Oh, there's the other Lapidary.
Close.
Like, at this point, are you just going... I guess you'd go Soulshare over Blade Dance. To clear off the Armorsmith. Maybe you go Spirit Jailer to get more stuff on board and just leave the Armorsmith.
Yeah, maybe.
He has no Kargath Prime in the deck, so nothing with Rush.
That's right, so the Smith actually doesn't even gain additional armor without other minions on board that can immediately attack. So I'm on board for the Jailer. The last 2 cards in Posesi's deck are the other Warblades and the Chaos Strike. The other 2 are Fragments. So he has another 4 damage in the deck. And for Alan, last 4 cards are Cartut Defender, Bloodsworn Mercenary, and this last Ooze.
Oh, this
Cartut,
is so
Shield
close.
Slam. Oh, he didn't get the Cartut! They're the last 2 cards! Are you kidding me?
Bottom 2 Carter?
Does this ever go to Fatigue?
I think he might get there, right? As soon as he plays Carter and it doesn't die, you can just play Elysiana. I think it's enough.
Chaos Strike is the last card in Posesi's deck.
Cane comes down, absolutely. No way to clear it off.
Yeah, Posesi just has perfect information by this point.
Yep, it does.
And so the Cartut doesn't necessarily die the next turn. And he's just set it up.
Carter hero power up to 10. Next turn, 5, 6, 7, 8. And the Chaos Strike for lethal?
Yep, it's
But
exact.
The weapon's
Isn't it?
destroyed, though, at the same time.
Oh, you're right, The ooze. So it's 2 off?
Is he going to end up 2 damage off being able to win the game?
Well, Alan's just still can't clear the board next turn, right? Like, Posesi can just... Oh, man.
So you Chaos Strike
Cartoon
and...
also cannot suicide itself either, so you leave it up.
But so this was the reason to play Blade Dance over the Soul Shear, right? Because you can kill the ooze, but not damage the Cartot, so it can't end up sacrificing itself. Like, I think that decision from Posesi to go for Soul Shear over Blade Dance or the Imp a couple of turns ago may have been the losing point of the game.
Maybe. Is he losing? I'm still not sure.
I don't know. I think he might be, though.
If he puts Alan down to 2, and then Alan just kills the Cane, then he's 100%, right?
Oh, wait,
then
hero
the
power.
Cartoon... Well,
Cards left. I am out of cards.
Okay.
here, yeah. So Alan goes down to 1, then Alan hero powers, he kills the Cane, and then he's 100% to win. Because there's no way to get through the Cartoot without killing it. Right? And then he would heal, and the other Cartoot as well.
So he hero powers, he survives at 2, and then he has the time to play Elysiana, right? To not die to fatigue.
Or you can just trade without using the hero power and then Cartoot. Yeah, and then the Cartoot always dies one way or another the next turn.
Well, it doesn't matter.
Or if it does...
It just doesn't matter because he plays Elysiana next turn. That's just a lock.
Yep.
Oh my god, there were so many different ways that Posesi could have gone about that. Like, maybe at the end he was supposed to just Chaos Strike and attack into the ooze so that the...
Maybe?
Because then at that point, like, you don't want the Cartot to die, obviously, so they gain health, but you need your Cane to stay alive on the board, which he just guaranteed Alan to be able to kill. I'm pretty sure in the last few turns there was an avenue to victory for Posesi. It was incredibly difficult to spot, and I guarantee that I in the time would not have been able to find it, but I think there was a way to get the damage through there or to stick the Cane.
Maybe, yeah, because if you kill the ooze, the only way that Alan can kill the Cane is by face tanking it.
Correct.
But if he face tanks it, even with armor, he ends up at 1 and would take 1 from the next fatigue with no time to play Elysiana.
But
so I think that was the line.
But you end up pushing
review.
3 less damage, right? Because you don't attack face with the Chaos Strike hero power. I mean, I think the real difference was when he played the Soul Shear, which should have been the Spirit Jailer turn. In order to get that extra damage through, because that would have allowed him 1 extra attack, which puts him 1 damage off lethal instead of 2, which I think in the end would have maybe got there in order to win the game. Or if he'd gone with the Blade Dance instead of the Soul Shear. Like, it's so difficult to spot and to think through all these scenarios, but I think there was a way to get there.
I agree. At least in the last 2 turns, I think Posesi was already on a lock as long as Alan did not mess up and he did kill the Cane. But it was a good spot to think back and say there is actually a benefit to holding your Soul Shear as opposed to Blade Dance. It was really not obvious at the time, but man, it's just so cool to think about these scenarios. We never see them because this type of warrior is so hardly played.
It is indeed, yeah. And I think a well-played game from Alan to be taking the win there indeed. Even with Cartoots, both of them in the bottom 2 cards there, it was unfortunate, but he's still able to take the victory. A crucial win for Alan, I think, as well, if he wants to have a chance here, because Demon Hunter is one of the classes that can suffer against his anti-Bomb Warrior techs, because it gets caught in the splash damage of all the weapon destruction and the healing. When we come back from this break, we're going to see if Alan can get the job done with the rest of his decks in the Druid and the Warlock. Very weird decks indeed. Not what you're used to seeing, but a lot of fun nonetheless. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Hearthstone Grandmasters. We are in the midst of our second match of the day. Alan is going up against Posesi. Only 4 matches today, of course, so we're almost halfway through the day already for Asia Pacific at least. Alan has got a very big win with his warrior up against the Demon Hunter, because I think the Demon Hunter is definitely one of the most targetable decks for Alan to go for. But I will say at the same time, I think the warrior was one of the most guaranteed to get a win for Alan, because Control Warrior is just still a semi-viable deck at this point. This isn't a purely meme deck designed just to beat Bomb Warrior.
It is true. The versions with the Rattlegore specifically are also able to push forward their own win condition. But we saw from Alan that you can just outlast the finite but large amounts of damage from the Demon Hunter. My question is whether the Druid can do the same thing, because it's a very similar deck with the amount of healing it gets, maybe even more consistent with the card draw, and the persistent Lucent Bark activation can also prove pretty problematic.
Yes, indeed. So moving on to our next game of the Druid up against the Hunter. This is going to be an interesting one, because obviously the point of these decks is to target Warrior, but the way that manifests is weapon destruction primarily, which double Eaglehorn Bow can be good in this matchup, but also a lot of healing, which obviously against Face Hunter could arguably even lead to a favorable matchup here.
Really? Okay, now I'm on the other side where I'm the big skeptic of this matchup. I feel like this Druid doesn't do anything on the turns when Face Hunter is strongest, which is 1, 2, 3.
Gia.
And they might just die before they can even heal.
Got bad news for you. You took my hosting bait. I was trying to get you to disagree with me all along, and you didn't even realize that's how good I am at my job.
Raven would be so proud.
Yeah, well, I mean, Raven wouldn't have said it. He would have just kept the illusion alive, because he's actually good at his job. I can't believe I just said that. The forbidden words in Hearthstone casting. But nonetheless, I think it could be closer than you're making out, because to be fair, Face Hunter is not really a burn deck anymore. It mainly tries to just take board control with all its minions early on. But as soon as you hit turn 5 or 6 for Quest Druid, you can start popping off with Starfall and Oasis Surger to seize the board.
Fair. And that crystal power was a very, very big deal. That's Alan's only way of killing the early minions from Posesi. It's also a big deal that Posesi has not hit Scavenger's Ingenuity, and he is only running 1 Felma, which has not been drawn either. The secrets also probably won't be interacted with for quite a while from the Druid side.
Right, and so is it Queen Polkelt to get a 4-5 on board here?
I'm kind of interested in Polkelt into Coin Dragonbane. So next turn Polkelt into Dragonbane Coin Hero Power, I mean.
I'm on board.
And also there's some merit to Posesi pulling out what appears to be the last secret from his deck, because he's just drawn Pack Tactics Pressure Plate. So it's just the Freezing Trap that is in play right now, and the Face Stalker will get no further value.
Yeah, a bit of a miserable draw, honestly, for Posesi. And for Alan, even if he doesn't hit the expensive spell to activate these Groundskeepers, I think he's still just going to quite happily toss them down as the Yetis with Taunt that they are.
Big deal, though, that Posesi has finally hit Scavenger's Ingenuity. That's the first threat of substance that he's put onto the board. But it's a big deal also that Posesi has not had the time to go for Dragon or Polkelt to get the Dragonbane just yet. Oh no, the sticky finger's gonna happen. Okay, it's not happening. I thought he was gonna go, I thought he was gonna go Eaglehorn Bow and Hero Power, but this is super clean, right? He gets the Dragonbane next turn.
Alan gets a lot of information here, though, because he now knows 100% there are 2 secrets in hand. Doesn't know which one is which exactly yet. But that is at least the hint that there's a pretty bad hand knocking around for Posesi. The problem is, his own hand is absolutely gosh dang awful.
Yep, it is garbage. And no expensive spells to even activate either Steel Beetle or Groundskeeper, so he's tempoing out the Sticky Finger. Oh, it feels so good to be right twice in a row, Daruk.
I think this is just 50-50 lethal. And
It's
this
still
is
just
the
lethal next turn.
yeah, they're not lethal quite yet. Wrath can draw you. Starfall doesn't clear the board. Oasis Surger, you're still dead. I'm not seeing it.
If he goes Healing Touch, Steel Beetle, I mean, it's active now, so he's drawn something of the expensive spells. Let's hope it's Hidden Oasis. It's not.
That's okay. You can go Nourish into Hidden Oasis next turn.
How much mana do you have?
It gains you the 2, right? Oh no, that only goes up to 4. Sorry, not 6. Sorry.
And this has to be lethal, right?
Yes, it does. You clear the board, you go face. The Face Hunter gets the win, and yes, Gia, smug as you are, you're right, twice in a row.
Oh, yes.
I'm sure Posesi is feeling even better here as he takes the win with the Face Hunter, because I think maybe I was over-exaggerating how good of a position the decks could be in against the Face Hunter, because again, the primary thing it does is lock down board early on, and all of Alan's decks don't really have that much removal because they're against Warrior, which doesn't develop onto the board, or at least that's the reason they're in the lineup. And so that was, I suppose, a fairly expected win if you know what you're talking about with regards to Hearthstone.
Yeah, it's worth noting that Alan did have kind of a poor draw not having the expensive spell to activate either of the Groundskeepers. Like the second one could have come down a lot earlier if he had the liberty to play it instead of the Cobalt Sticky Finger. And if he had maybe 10 more health to work with, there could have been some miracles with the Nourish. Pretty unlikely in the face of a Dragonbane. But again, this is not the point of Alan's lineup. I think that the deck that he really wants to bully is either of these two remaining ones, Demon Hunter or Weapon Rogue.
I agree completely. The Weapon Rogue, to me, kind of feels like the even more susceptible, if I had to guess, because the kind of removal that his decks do have is the kind of removal that lines up pretty well for the most part against the stealth minions, because it's small removal rather than big removal. Like if he can get a Starfall, that's okay against the rogue stuff, and just developing minions in the early game can be decent enough as the druid to maybe fight back against the stealth minions. I don't think it's a good matchup because the decks are not meant to fight against it, but this is not over for Alan.
Yes, he is just trying to hit the oozes and the sticky fingers at the right point. And, you know, when we were testing Bomb Warrior versus Alan's lineup, we were playing around with the idea of, do you even keep the weapons to begin with? Because Alan is super likely to destroy them one way or the other, or even steal them. And we quickly came to the conclusion that Bomb Warrior, if you don't have the weapons, doesn't really have a win condition. But it's not the same for Demon Hunter and Weapon Rogue. They still have some pretty impactful minions in the early game, and I wonder if we would see some different ways of approaching the mulligan from Posesi because of that.
Maybe, yeah. We have seen in testing that, like, generally the Demon Hunter seems to do best when you just do mulligan pretty hard for those early game minions, like we saw Posesi keeping earlier on today. We're looking for Panthara, Spirit Jailers, Wand Makers. I honestly think you'd just maybe hold on to Soul Shard Lapidaries as well a lot of the time for that power spike in the mid game to start pushing forward a lot of damage. And the other thing to bear in mind is that against both of the remaining decks, Sociologist Militia can be incredibly powerful as just a game ender on turn 7, specifically against the Druid in particular.
Yeah, the 3/3s are just a little bit too durable for a Starfall to get through. And the opener is looking very great for actually both players.
Pretty good. Yeah, the Oasis Surge are definitely what you're looking for. It's not until turn 6, but just being able to take out the Glaive-bound Adepts, the Lapidaries in response, is very powerful.
Alan is off coin, though. That means that the Surger is not turboed out.
Right.
We love to be on coin with the Surger as Quest Druid to get the quest done by 4, and then Surger on 5. I was actually wondering if Steel Beetle was a keep as a turn 3 play. play. Not always active though, so maybe Alan would rather just look for some cycle.
Interesting idea, because he is most afraid of, well, exactly this, actually, from Posesi. Just a whole bunch of minions coming down in the early turns when he has no answer.
Panthera and kill off the Steladris. I mean, for Alan, this is kind of a win. The Steladris gets to remove the Wand Thief. Because if you leave it on board, it's too scary if they have crystal power. All Alan needs is time.
Yep, if he can get up to the Nourish, up to the Oasis Surger, he's in a pretty good spot. And with the hidden Oasis, he can tank a lot of damage in the meanwhile. It's definitely anybody's game at the moment.
Posesi has turbo speed for this game. I was wondering if he could maybe take a turn off the Panthera draw, because he had Glavebound drawn before the end of that turn. So he could have gone something like attack and then equip the Eldraki, so you have a free Glavebound the next turn without having to coin. But this is just more pressure on the board right now.
Well, my thought was coin Glavebound, honestly, just to throw that onto the board, like to get 6 damage in play.
Okay.
Maybe a bit too aggressive.
Interesting. I mean, Alan doesn't run Swipe.
Right, exactly. Like, it has to be Wrath Hero Power, in which case they still tank it. It's the turn before quest activation.
Well, it appears Posesi is still gonna go for the Glavebound this turn, and he just did not value the coin as highly as I did, which is, you know, very fair. The Panthera's already gotten in an attack that equalizes how much the Eldraki would have done.
Oh, getting interesting now. Posesi's dominant start to the game has netted him a lot of damage, of course, and he's in a reasonable spot because of that. But Alan's hand just gets better and better as long as he's not dying anytime soon. He's got Hidden Oasis, he's got Lucent Bark for that continuous taunt as well. Board control is going to be hard for Posesi to grasp, and I don't think he's getting there on damage alone.
He's not, but the face attack here I think is very heads up, because it doesn't give Alan time to go Nourish and then go Hidden Oasis.
Okay.
At the very least, you are trying to make the Druid's turns a little bit less efficient, but just the one Oasis is super backbreaking here.
You get the Blade Dance, to be fair. Like, this is still a powerful turn for Posesi, even if Lucent Bark comes down. Like, Posesi's still probably in the lead here, but it's getting a little bit closer.
I like the idea of holding on to Blade Dance. I think that part gets so much better than these Shard Shatter Mystics do. Plus, he gets to develop on the board a little bit. Only downside is it's going to be a while, or it'll take some more mana to re-equip a weapon for Blade Dance the next turn.
Oh, it's getting spicy for Posesi. Philosophy, yep, just get it out of your hand so you can get the Outcast going a little bit sooner.
It's a great spot for Lucent Bark, because even if Posesi had Kayn this turn, he would not be threatening lethal.
But he's pretty close to threatening lethal now, right? He can go for Blade Dance to clear it off. Get the Eldraki in at the same time. Oh, gorgeous.
Super close to lethal. And Alan needs second Hidden Oasis, or Healing Touch, or even Crystal Power. Maybe Crystal Power is not enough.
I mean, it gets the taunt back in play as well, so he's doing something.
Oh, Groundskeeper!
That's a good draw. Okay, Nourish into Groundskeeper.
Is it Nourish, or is it Wrath and Mishafin?
Okay, more taunts. Yeah.
The difference with Nourish this turn as opposed to next is next turn you can go Nourish into a potential 6-cost card like the other Hidden Oasis. So I like the slight deviation from Alan. The Great Wall of Taunts. Alan praying that there's no Kayn.
Oh, that's a big draw though, right? He can go... Is that just lethal?
Yeah.
It's close. It's really close.
But it's a clear. Just second slice Hero Power Blade Dance. You got to push 5.
Oh,
is he holding on to it?
Really?
This might be really smart, right? Because if you leave the Loosened Bark dead and then it revives and you don't have Blade Dance in
Oh
hand, then
my
you have
God.
to sink the the Soul Shard into it next turn. So maybe the play is like just set up for a bigger Blade Dance with the Lapidary next turn.
Okay, that
I
is
don't know.
smart. I would not have seen that straight up.
I mean, it also means that you're kind of accepting that healing will happen and the game will go on longer
Right,
than just
right.
your Blade Dance. But I think on average, he did have to go for a bit of a longer term plan.
Tax in so that the weapon can't be stolen or destroyed, and with 3 weapon destruction effects found there, good choice.
Yikes, it's just Crystal Power, so he can only go up to 13? That doesn't feel safe.
And does he even want to play it? Because of course he wants to have the ability to reactivate the Lucent Bug.
Oh yeah, I would absolutely play it. I'm too scared of Kayn here.
Oh, okay.
I thought it was gonna be Crystal Power and Starfall, but maybe he has the read on no Kayn, so he's not playing it?
He's gonna die if he doesn't play it.
I know!
He's
I
just dead.
I thought it was fine to Starfall those 2 minions and then Crystal Power.
Whoa!
Okay. Oh my gosh!
Ooh,
Posesi,
big draw.
he can just charge up for the bigger turn next turn, right? There's no
Yeah,
need to
level.
commit the Lapidary now. Yep. This one discount. Oh, it's the
Oh, that's
Kayn that
Kayn,
misses
though.
the discount? Yeah.
Bad to miss the discount, but it's good to have it at all.
And good to have a weapon pre-equipped so he can invest damage right now, or at least spend the mana on it. So if you equip the Eldraki, next turn you have Chaos Strike, Kayn, Lapidary, Second Slice.
Is it?
That's 14.
But
At
do
that
you
point, you
equip-
don't need to Blade Dance, right?
Do you even equip the weapon though? What if they steal it? Do you want to give them the extra health?
Right. You're right. Oh gosh.
You've just seen one. Does that mean they're more likely to have the second one, or less likely to have the second one?
I don't know.
Time grows short.
Uh,
I grow impatient.
I couldn't tell you, but if
Like-
he doesn't equip the weapon, he doesn't have lethal the next turn, right?
Right.
He has 12 without weapon. It's so huge that he missed the Kayn discount. That's miles of a difference.
Yeah, I
Looks
mean,
like
if,
he's just ending the turn.
if he'd hit the discount on both of them, it was the easiest pass of his life, and then just hit lethal
Yep.
next turn. But it's a lot harder now. Alan digging for any kind of heal effect he can possibly find right now.
This is on the first one. There's Healing Touch, Steel Beetle.
Oh my!
None of it
this
is there.
so close.
Right now he's alive at 1. And that doesn't change anything. Does Chaos Strike help in any way? I mean,
Hitting
right
Twin
now,
Slice doesn't
Posesi's
matter.
like about to die.
Right. Is he alive on board? That's a pretty big deal. He's not even, is he? Wow.
He's not. So we're gonna see a Blade Dance here, one way or
Right.
another. I mean, you go for the 2-turn push, right? It's 1 Lapidary with a Blade Dance. You hope that the Blade Dance hits the Lucent Bark, and then you can push the Lapidary damage phase, and then go for the 3-card next turn. I think that's the line.
Oh, but what if you miss? It's only a 50-50 to hit the right one.
It's true. Well, he still has Spectral Sight. Maybe you can find the Soul Shear in the deck.
But then you're drawing through to
well-
fragments, and your lapidaries become inactive some of the time as well.
So it's Lapidary first, then Spectral Sight,
I guess.
and then Evaluate?
It's never Kayn, is it? You
Sure.
have to save the Kayn.
It's never Kayn. It's never Kayn.
He's
Okay.
going with that.
Good spot about the last fragment. There was only that one left in the deck. Okay. 8 to face.
Sees
Alive
the
on
line.
board.
Alive on
Wait.
board.
Barely. Just barely. Alan has so many healing effects in the deck or draw. Groundskeeper, Hidden Oasis, Steel Beetle. But
That's not
it's
heal.
not enough. It's not enough.
It's armor,
Posesi?
but the Lucent Bark stays inactive. Next turn, Lethal's just represented on board.
even if it were reactivated, Kane just goes through. Zessie found the line. Ah, man, what a game.
Very nicely done for Posesi. I think that was an incredibly complicated series of turns there. And even though I had my questions about the end game of the last Demon Hunter game, I thought he piloted this incredibly well.
Yes. Right from the very beginning of holding Blade Dance, before it was not even lethal yet, I think that shows incredible understanding of how much time you have to play with when you're the Demon Hunter here. The Druid is not killing you until they actually show you the damage face up on your board, and then you can react. And he did it perfectly.
Did he actually even have a Soul Fragment in the deck before he got the Marrow Slicer there, though? Was that a draw for lethal rather than the Lapidary 100%?
Well, he played Soul Shear the turn before, so...
Oh, right, yeah, of course,
fine.
yeah. So it was 100% lethal no matter what. Okay, well done there for Posesi. The lethal setup was there, so good job indeed. Super, super tough, but the Demon Hunter getting through is absolutely massive. All he needs now is one win with the Rogue. And I think, even though it is vulnerable, of course, as we've said multiple times, to the weapon destruction, I think he's in a good spot. Galakron Warlock is honestly just not a very good deck right now. It does powerful stuff for sure, but it is supremely susceptible to all the damage that comes through unless they hit the exact massive heal combo of Moarg plus Nether Breath.
And even then, sometimes if they are keeping Moarg, Nether Breath, or keeping the weapon removal, that means that they don't necessarily have strong plays in the early game, and after they've exhausted that reactive type of hand, they have to start tapping again, and by then you can take the window and try and win off of minions. So I do overall really like Posesi's chances. Do you think the Demon Hunter had to be what Alan tried to get wins through?
Yeah, I agree as well. It would have been a massive upset if Alan had been able to take the series. He still could, of course. We're not going to count him out quite yet because the Druid and the Warlock are both far from 0% versus the Rogue. You just kind of have to pray, I suppose, that Posesi goes all in on a weapon game plan and you don't have the answer necessarily to that. But I think even then, Posesi's build of the Rogue actually plays fairly nicely into these anti-weapon decks because he's got the Pharaoh Cat, he's got the Evil Miscreant, has a little bit of extra minion capability to throw down in the early game, which means he just has even more ways to go wide on board.
Yeah, and even just the extra copy of Hook Scimitar, a little bit of weapon redundancy can go a long way.
Indeed.
But Dark Skies in the opener ×2 for Alan. This is the premium that you want. And it already is kind of presenting a bit of a mind game. Like I was talking about, do you ever throw weapons because you expect them to keep the weapon removal? But if he goes for minions here, Alan has the exact hand that deals with minions but not weapons.
I think Self-Sharpening Sword is just too good to mulligan. Like, if you're not going for that, the deck literally just doesn't work. It's the only reason to play Weapon Rogue over an aggro Stealth Rogue or even Secret Rogue. And so going for it on turn 3, the turn before it can get coin sticky fingered is a pretty big deal.
I'm in full agreement. Moment, Alan does not have an ooze. Never mind.
Yikes.
Yep, that will be the first check ticked off for Alan. Zessie already has to go back to the drawing board. Oh man, I want to see Alan versus Blythe.
Dude, how dare Alan tweet at us, I wasn't BMing? How are we supposed to predict he's not BMing when this is how he plays against his opponent, when he just hits a 4 of tech card in his deck?
Oh, Alan's the best. This passage for Posesi, you could tell he was going for it just to specifically find another weapon, whether it was the Self-Sharpening or the Hook Scimitar, but it feels bad to like see Jandis and Krastenov wave their goodbyes.
It does indeed. But if this sticks, his hand is doing quite a lot. He's got Cutting Class, Dread Corsair into Steel Dancer on the following turn. No weapon destruction available right now for Alan, unless he taps into it right now. Which he does! Oh my god! Oh my god! Greet him, Alan! Greetings!
I'm losing it! I would have played the Veiled Worship there almost every single time.
Like, I don't even think it was the correct play, but it just worked because Alan went for it anyway.
It's still fine. I mean, he could have tapped in Zephyrus. He wouldn't have
I guess
overdrawn
so.
there. So maybe he was just giving himself max odds to find Sticky Finger over a couple turns. But it's too funny. It's too funny.
My God.
Okay, Jandis has hit the board, but there is Dark Skies galore. There's probably even a
Yeah.
more efficient way of doing this.
Yeah, there's a couple of ways to go about this. Like, you might not even need it because you can just like trade with what's on board. Yeah, maybe you do need it at the end.
I think, yeah, because he doesn't know where the illusion goes, and he
Right,
also
yeah.
can't set up a good Plague of Flames, I think. You would
Yeah, it
still
just
end
looks
up
like a decent Dark
Dark-Skizing.
Skies.
Like, if you had the read on what the illusion minion was, he could have gone like a value trade on the Jandis, trade the Ooze into the illusion, and play like Zephyrus Plague of Flames, but that even just seems like more resources committed than a simple Dark Skies, so simple is best.
Coin 4-4?
Yep, why
Yeah.
not?
Why not?
It's a 5-4, how dare you?
Oh, sorry. Apologies. And because it's a 5-4, it's dead to Tempo Krastinov. Oh no, sorry, I apologize.
What?
Dagger Krastinov.
I thought, wait, so would a 4-4 be dead to Krasnov? I don't know what you're trying to say.
Yeah, one day you'll understand these things. It's clearly well above your level of Hearthstone understanding.
Yeah, way above my head.
Galakron for 1?
Yeah? It doesn't look like he needs to draw in the near future. I say that sometimes it's a bit scary. You can fall into the trap of like running out of ways to remove Weapon Rogue's things, but as it turns out, a couple of 1-1s removes a lot of their minions.
Alright, real talk now though, Gia. Jokes aside, Posesi had 2 of his weapons destroyed at the start of the game. He's got both the others though. He is just praying for no Sticky Finger off the top here, and he is actually in a pretty good spot this game.
He is, but there is Kronks for 8-8 here, which I really like the look of. Can fit in the hero power. Is that not the play? Posesi doesn't run sap.
Gia, Kronk's buff, I think, is where we're at on the next turn, right?
You're right. I did not think of that in a million years. But yeah, you just play the Zephyrus.
Oh, love it.
That's genius. It's just game, right?
Yep, there is no way in Posesi's deck to answer this. Great spot by Alan.
Okay, but he can put down Dread Corsair and 2 4-drops from the Steel Dancers. What's it gonna be? Kargam?
Yeah, Alan, you have so much reason to be salty in this game after tap Ooze on 4. Go on, threaten him, Posesi. Please threaten him.
One time, Posan. Okay, so we're off the Kronk's game plan.
But we're just
it
on the...
becomes a Plague of Flames?
Yeah, Plague of Flames is just absolutely nutty here. Like, Posesi had to do this to stay alive.
We can still be on the Kronk's game plan for an 8-8. So it's like Hero
Sure.
Power, Plague of Flames,
That's the bad
and then
one.
Kronk's 8-8. Ooh, or steal this. Oh, there's so many. Okay, just steal it, and there's no way he loses, right?
Hero Power, Plague Steel.
Plague of Flames. Yep.
Yeah, I think that's just a wrap at that point.
The one thing he has to be worried about is the Prime.
True. I think he's still winning, even if that comes down by quite a margin, but sure.
Yeah, just a small worry. It's not straight up dead to Morg Netherbreath.
No, you're right.
It's a
You're right.
small worry, but it's a thing.
It is a thing. I'll give you that.
Maybe the 8-8 is still just better than Sticky Finger. I don't know. Like, if he just wants to threaten lethal the next turn.
I mean, Sticky Finger's just funnier, if nothing else, right?
Okay, I don't know. They're both winning lines from what I can see.
Yeah. one last time. Posesi's soul shall suffer.
Cat into Colossus of the Moon was the card that absolutely wrecked me when I was playing this from the Galakrond Warlock perspective.
That would have been pretty good here. Maybe, if you weren't just dead next turn. So, actually terrible. Is this just lethal with Kronks? Not
A
quite.
little bit off. Oh wait, Nether Breath goes face.
Oh,
That's
Nether
lethal.
Breath, yeah.
Been
5
a
damage to
while.
face. Alan sees it instantaneously, as he seems to always do, even with these weird lines. Game 5 now, and Posesi is left with probably his worst deck remaining in the series. The Weapon Rogue, in that instance, seemed to be extremely vulnerable to the weapon destruction, even finding all 4 weapons, and still it not being enough to get through all those oozes and sticky fingers. I think the only real chance is trying to stick a board against the Druid in the early turns.
Definitely feels that way. The Druid does not have access to tapping into Ooze at the very least, but it does have untapped potential to turbo out the card draw once the quest is completed. I really can't even estimate who I feel like is favored in this one.
I think I'm going to say Rogue. I think that there's not as much card draw in the early game, obviously, for Druid. Having to play off mana at the start is very annoying. Hero powering down a Spy Mistress isn't even that good, to be honest, just because you tank so much. And I think even if like the comeback for Alan is to go for a big hidden Oasis, that's in general not strong enough because you have to destroy the weapon and heal and remove the board all at the same time if the rogue is doing what it wants to correctly.
That's very fair. I think it's just a big deal, though, that once again, Posesi's list does not have sap. The taunt minions will be a lot more durable than they are compared to, say, Demon Hunter, which has Blade Dance to both be able to get rid of the board and push face damage. I'm just excited. I really enjoyed these Quest Druid games, even these Fatigue Warrior games, where you have this sort of solvable position towards the end of the game, as long as you've kept track of what cards your opponent has left.
Absolutely. And I think that Posesi, aside from the one, like, again, I'll say extremely difficult position where he could have gone for, like, the Blade Dance or the Spirit Jailer in the first game and potentially gotten a win, I think he's piloted those solvable positions incredibly well thus far. The Druid against Demon Hunter game from him was especially impressive.
Alan starts on coin now, too, so quest completion can be done a whole turn sooner than otherwise. Double ooze in hand.
Yeah, my brain has gone right back to the start here, G. I remember when the Saviors of All Doom pre-release kind of teaser came out and Chaki went quest coin and everyone was thinking, is that a thing? Do you actually go quest coin? And then, of course, it turned out to be what you do literally 100% of the time. But even here, I'm still thinking like, Hidden Oasis doesn't come online until turn 6. Probably just...
I mean, it's still not 100% of the time that you go quest coin. I think in super slow matchups, you don't even need the quest done by turn 5 in order to turbo out the Oasis Surgers, but this is not a slow matchup.
It is not indeed. Posesi doesn't go for the attack there, interestingly enough. You would have to imagine, obviously, because of the hero power, he doesn't want to take it down. It just wants to build up a nice big board where there's plenty of the targets that the Druid wants to attack at once.
Oh no! Time to unstealth, please. He doesn't have Greyheart Sage.
Yeah. It, at the very least, protects his other minions from being attacked into.
Sort of, yeah. I mean, Alan doesn't have Swipe. That's a very big deal. And the Starfall is 1 turn from being active. I heard something in Europe about not crystal powering a 4-1.
A natural mistake.
Just gave his opponent an extra 3-1 available there. So a bit of a misplay from Alan.
That was not BM. It was an actual mistake.
Whoa. Oh Can you ever go self-sharpening sword here? Like, it's going into turn 5. You know it's going to be destroyed or stolen. But at the very least, then they're not answering the board. So if you go Spectral Sword, can you punch them for 7 next turn?
Yeah, I think I like it this turn because if the turn is just development, then you're losing to Oasis Surger. If you play the sword, then okay, they have Sticky Finger, but at the very least, it's a slow play on the board. And he can develop another minion alongside it, whether it's the Dread Corsair or the Spectral Delinquent.
Yeah, I think I like it too. And you obviously have to bear in mind as well, there's the chance that they don't have weapon destruction, in which case you are pulling miles into the lead.
Yes. Posesi waiting till the last possible moment, praying that his sword can remain on his side of the board.
Ooh.
So we're looking at Rising Winds, Ooze, and shoot something, I suppose.
Probably yes.
And then next turn, he's pretty much home free with the Hidden Oasis.
Yeah, like you can look at the line of Groundskeeper plus Crystal Power to get something on the board and clear off stuff, but leave the weapon in play. I think just, it's Weapon Rogue, right? The almost entirety of the deck revolves around having a big weapon in play.
Right. The second you leave that up, if there's a deadly poison, suddenly they pop off with a Steel Dancer, Dread Corsair, and the board becomes a little bit beyond manageable. So I think it's fine for Alan. His health total completely warrants him leaving up a couple minions.
Twin Tyrant is pretty good in the matchup, unless you want to go like incredibly late game focused and try and hit Malagos double Abyss the turn after.
Not gonna lie, I'm looking at it. It's not even just like... Doesn't the implication of, say, Malagos backstab kind of become a big swing? And then they're not likely to kill it the immediate next turn? I don't know.
Yeah, I think realistically it probably is Twin Tyrant because you're still just trying to win board and you're not... Like, yeah. From Posesi's perspective, this is not so over that you have to enter meme territory. He could realistically still just win through winning board.
It's true. Yeah. Goose is not necessarily a meme in Tempo Mage, but I'll admit, in Rogue, it's kind of a pipe dream. Krasinov also puts Alan off of Hidden Oasis for another turn, but he still has Groundskeeper anyway. So
yeah,
no
I mean,
sweat off his back.
What a disaster. He has to heal for 5 and develop a 4/5 instead of heal for 12 and develop a 6/6. Like, it's still just winning here.
Okay.
And I guess maybe I was just kind of underestimating how bad Weapon Rogue is into these anti-warrior decks. Like, in the 2 games we've seen, it's looked absolutely dreadful.
Alan has had the Ooze. It's the whole difference, right? If the first self-sharpening sword stuck, this would be a completely different game.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
Okay, Twin Tyrant's pretty nuts here. Fine.
It is a big deal. Oasis Surger can obviously be used to clear up a fair bit of this board, and you're definitely not dying on the following turn. Whether or not it will be enough is the question. I wonder if Posesi was ever supposed to not attack with the weapon there to allow Steel Dancer for double 1-drop next turn? Like, he can't dagger and go Steel Dancer now, so he might end up floating a fair bit of mana.
I think if he was planning to settle for a 1-drop with Steel Dancer, we would have seen it the last turn instead of Dread Corsair. I think Posesi's been holding out on maybe trying to get Hook Scimitar activation.
Okay, well that'll do.
Big deal. Ew.
Yeah, K1, no K1, one terrible one.
Yeah, that's the exact shape that Starfall wants to hit. A 7
That's
health
true.
and a 2 health.
Oh my god, you're right.
But to be fair, if the Starfall goes on the Gurbashi, then the Twin Tyrant survives?
Nope.
No, it doesn't. Never mind. The Worm Rest trades. It's so clean.
It's so clean. Alan, to be fair, if he doesn't hit Nourish, is like potentially as the best chance for Posesi running out of value. If he can hit a secret passage here or a self-sharpening sword that isn't oozed away, maybe.
I mean, Posesi just has to hope this one sticks, right? He's seen Wormrest Purifier, so if there were oozes or Kobold Sticky Fingers in the deck, they have been
Good
transformed now into not weapon removal. So he just has to think, what are the odds Alan had it in his hand before? Oh wow, this is mega disciplined.
You're paying for my discretion.
Okay, I mean, you're not expecting great stuff off of one drops, and this is reasonable, I suppose.
Oh my goodness. That's gotta be the game.
That is a mammoth draw there for Alan.
Ooh, he got an Emerald Explorer from his Wormrest Purifier.
Not bad.
Value.
Not as good as the other minions, but still not bad.
Yeah, I think Posesi can pack it up. Okay. Draconic Lackey into Deathwing? Something like that?
You know, there's also Spell Lackey into Candle Breath or something like that. Big Ol' Whelp. It's more card draw.
Mm-hmm.
I'm definitely taking
Gets
that.
you closer to the other Miscreant, so you can hit Deathwing. I don't know.
Unless you want to cheese Alan with Nosdormu. I don't think that's going to work against a player as sharp as Alan, but...
No, I think it was Alan who managed to fill an entire Nosdormu turn with all the actions he wanted on a priest in a mirror.
Oh my god. He's doing it. Okay. Sure, you're not winning this game anyway. Let's take the Hail Mary.
My thanks to you.
Yeah, throw in the rope.
My thanks to you.
Oh my goodness. Steladris with you. Oh wait, Beetle first! Beetle first, Alan! Okay.
Well, it gets it
it's
back
ooze.
anyway, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, I thought he wanted to go Beetle instead of the ooze.
Nah. Slam it! Maybe this gets there. Oh, strength in numbers? That's pretty good.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Summon the random iron bark that you generated or something.
Quick as we can, Alec. Quick as we can.
He honestly doesn't even need to.
Yeah. Like, now Posesi only has mere seconds. And if he gets Secret Passage here, like, the animation is going to eat up 90% of his turn straight up.
I'm losing it. This draw.
Yep. Scimitar. Trade. Alright. Technically, Nosdormu's alive on board.
Mm-hmm.
And now it's dead.
Mm-hmm.
And with it, so too do Posesi's dreams die.
This has been a spectacle. It's not even Bomb Warrior, but it's getting absolutely bullied out of the game.
It's Ghidra as well. Absolutely disgusting. It's good to know, though, hey, for these anti-Bomb Warrior techs, I don't think we'd specifically seen it up against Weapon Rogue thus far, but it's another factor that tips the scales one way or the other between Weapon Rogue and Secret Rogue.
And we also saw Alan get very close against Demon Hunter, and in fact he took a win against Demon Hunter with one of the other decks in the lineup. So if the hard target Bomb Warrior and have kind of a side benefit of decent matchups against Demon Hunter, and possibly just favored matchups against Weapon Rogue exist, maybe this actually is just the strongest lineup.
Maybe it is, Gia. In a way, I hope yes, because it's cool to see. In a much more real way, I hope, please God, no, because of how insane that would be to have to cast this every single series. But well done to Alan. I think he piloted it very, very well. It was a weird strategy to go for, but it worked out for him here. It does mean that by taking the win there, he is able to go all the way up to guarantee his spot in the top 4 of Division B. Not guaranteed playoffs yet, because only 2 out of the top 4 players do go to playoffs. I believe that will be played out off stream to find out which 2 of the 4 will be going through. But it means that Posesi, I believe, is in with a chance of ending up in the relegation bracket still. We have to work out all the scenarios still, but it all hinges on Tiz versus Kin and whether or not Tiz can get the win to end up in the 4-3 scoreline as well.